You know how the saying goes, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Well, whoever said that is a massive liar.
Well, yo mama is so fat, when she go to the movie theater, bitch sit next to everyone.
Don't you ever talk about my mom. Don't you ever.
Ironically enough, in combat sports where people are actually beating each other up, sometimes it's the words said that make the most impact.
I don't know why you gotta be so mean, man. This guy's so mean.
A devastating putdown can be immortalized just like any knockout, and today we're going to look at times that fighters just eviscerated their opponents with their mouths so violently even Mario Yamasaki would have stepped in.
Things are about to get real dark real quick, Frank.
I'm Tommy from MMA On Point. A huge thank you to our channel Hall of Famers for being amazing and supporting videos like this, and these are 10 times fighters destroyed their opponents using only words. Quick note before we get started, the key word in that title is opponents. These have to be fighters that have fought each other or it won't be considered. So Jeremy Stevens and Ryan Bader, you can rest easy tonight. Alright, let's get started with number 10, Dan Hardy to Marcus Davis. Irish media member Sean Sheehan once joked that Marcus Davis was the godfather of Irish MMA. Of course, Davis, who went by the Irish hand grenade, was born and raised in Maine, but he's one of those Americans that very closely identifies with his Irish roots, his father being from the nation. That connection would see Davis regularly fight in Ireland and England in the early 2000s. And Dan Hardy had an absolute field day with Marcus's love for the Irish and his constant appearances on cards over the pond. In the lead up to their fight, Hardy was at the peak of his trash-talking abilities.
When I was fighting Marcus Davis, I was shit-talking him and getting inside his head.
He's a fake Irishman, basically. A plastic paddy. He's not Irish. He's never lived there.
Dan Hardy fucked up and he called Marcus Davis a fake Irishman. Not happy. Not happy.
His best line and most definitive on the matter came at the post-fight press conference for UFC 95 when Hardy was asked about Davis's popularity in the UK.
He's not English, he's not Irish, and I was born here and I've been bred here, and I don't mind taking on that challenge and showing him that this is my home and not his.
Fantastic line. It all made for some very great drama in the lead up to their fight that would take place in Germany for some reason. Nice fumble there, UFC, and like all great blood feuds, went to a split decision and had 10 minutes of control time in a 15-minute fight. Number 9, Randy Couture to Tito Ortiz. Oh yeah, we're going way back to when shit talk was really just in its infancy in the sport. There weren't a ton of platforms for fighters to express themselves anyway, and most didn't really understand the value of mouthing off. That was not the case for Tito Ortiz, who was honestly way ahead of his time in that regard, and as such was a favorite of the Best Damn Sports Show period, the at the time biggest mainstream programming that featured UFC fighters. It was the perfect setup for him to get blindsided by a line from soon-to-be opponent Randy Couture. The contrast between the two was simply perfect. Here's this over-the-top loudmouth guy. He's got Simon Phoenix hair, he's young, he's cool, he's the face of the promotion, and then there's old man Randy with his male pattern baldness and a total lack of cool factor, at least to the standard of the time. But that didn't mean he wasn't quick on his feet and had a banger of a comeback when Ortiz tried to make fun of his age.
For after the fight's over, make sure he can walk okay. I got a cane for him. That way, so make sure that he can walk around. So I got a cane for him to walk around. So.
Wow.
Thanks, Tito, but I think you better hang on to that because I think you're going to need it Friday night to get out of the octagon.
Oh my God, stop the fight, Herb Dean. The perfect comeback and delivered with absolutely no malice besides the fact that he's telling him he's going to cripple him. Now, I do think this line works much better in context, knowing that Randy would literally spank Tito in their fight, but even without it, Ortiz's smarmy attempt at prop comedy at Couture's expense blew up in his face there like glass hit by Conor's dolly. Speaking of the Irishman, number 8, Conor McGregor to Chad Mendes. It's nearly impossible to pick a moment from Conor over the years that best encapsulates his ability to murder with words. While he may not exactly be churning out greatest hits these days, although You'll Do What You're Told was a gem from Tough with Chandler.
You want to do 185? I'll do 185.
You'll do what you're told.
There's a whole catalog of devastating moments over the years, as for the most part, Conor is miles ahead of any of his opponents on the microphone. The one I want to focus on, though, is perhaps one of his most juvenile lines, but I'll be damned if I didn't laugh my ass off when I first heard it, as silly as it is. The moment in question took place in the lead up to McGregor's interim title fight with Chad Mendes on a BT Sports segment. Let's watch.
How tall are you, buddy?
5'9".
All right, I'm 5'6".
You're 5'4" at least.
3 inches taller than me, buddy.
You should stand up because we can barely see you on the screen.
Connor, do you know what wrestling is?
I can rest my balls on your forehead.
Yeah, I know.
He should have just hung up the phone. He should have hung up the phone and honestly retired. This was the worst possible scenario for Mendes. It's a pro-Conor crowd, Chad's there via Skype on a delay, so he can't be quick, and then he sealed his own fate by posing a question to Conor. Was it a 5th grade level diss by McGregor? Yes. But in the context of the moment and how it played out, it's just absolute destruction, I'm sorry. A full-on demolition. But that doesn't mean that Conor always ended up on top during his exchanges. For instance, number 7, Eddie Alvarez to Conor McGregor. It is exceedingly rare for someone to get one over on McGregor with just their words, especially in person, as Conor is generally the most popular guy in the room, and any comeback he throws your way is going to make the crowd go crazy. Not to mention, he's one of the most brutal trash talkers ever, like it or not. So for Alvarez, who isn't exactly known for his mic skills, to get the better of McGregor is a real victory. In the lead up to their lightweight title bout, the two had plenty of exchanges, with Eddie's best and most hilarious being this Looney Tunes-like exchange at the 205 launch presser.
Take them stupid-ass glasses off. Make me. Make me. Make me. Make me. Make me. You took them off. You took them off. Thank you, you took them off.
As silly as that one was, that's not why Alvarez made the list. Conor is very rarely unable to form a comeback, even if he doesn't have something that witty to say. He'll overpower a conversation with his personality alone. The only time I have ever seen that not be the case was when Eddie questioned Conor's manhood during a Fox Australia interview.
You ain't no man, you took welfare.
Okay,
don't talk about money. Don't you talk about money. You took money from single moms. Single moms go on welfare, not men. You don't talk about money, all right? Keep your mouth shut when it talks about money.
Was Conor just spent from the presser earlier that day? Did the talk of the struggles of his early life get to him? Hard to say, but optically it certainly looked like Eddie getting the better of Conor there. And the fact that he didn't have anything to come back with makes it one of those rare moments where in a verbal exchange, McGregor was on the back foot. Number 6, Nick Diaz to George St. Pierre. When people who weren't around at the time ask fans like me why they loved Nick Diaz so much, it's because of moments like this one. The aura of this dude was just off the charts back then. You have to remember the context, too. For years, Nick was touted as this guy who was too out of control to be in the UFC, but at the same time, he was clearly the best welterweight in the world outside of the promotion, being the reigning defending Strikeforce champ at 170. He entered the UFC coming off a one-round masterpiece over Paul Daly, and was a guy a lot of hardcore fans thought might be able to beat George St. Pierre, which was the fight they immediately set up. But Nick would no-show media day and instead fight BJ Penn on that same card. GSP was meant to have a new opponent on the night in Carlos Condit, but injured his knee and was forced off, making Penn and Diaz the headliners. Nick beat the brakes off BJ Penn, hit him with 257 strikes, just rearranged his whole face. And then the moment came, the perfect Diaz moment. This whole card was a clusterfuck, and it should have absolutely been his big opportunity to fight GSP, so when the microphone came his way, he let out his frustration and made a call out that would stick with everyone for years to come.
I don't think George is hurt. I think he's scared. I think he's scared to fight everybody right now. What's up? Where you at, George?
My 2011 brain was destroyed. GSP was scared. It didn't even make any sense, but it got me so hyped. I liked St. Pierre, and after he said that, I was like, yeah, fuck this guy. Don't be scared, homie. There's just something about Nick, and that line was it. Number 5, Dominic Cruz to TJ Dillashaw. There might not be another human on the planet who is better at making people feel like absolute morons than Dominic Cruz.
I never want to punch you in the face, ever.
No, never, and I never want to shave that neck hair that you got going on.
Hey, I need a haircut, okay? Leave it alone.
He is so condescending that even if you were right, you'd start questioning yourself from his delivery alone. Poor TJ Dillashaw never had a prayer here. The UFC decided that they were going to sit him down face to face in a dark, quiet room with Dominic for an interview in the lead up to their bantamweight title fight. John Anik would ask a single question to start things off, and this would be followed by 3 entire minutes of Cruz ripping Dillashaw to shreds uninterrupted like a lion in a gazelle nursery.
All right, man, I'm done talking to you. You can't be done talking to me. You're right here facing me, dummy. You got nowhere to go. Keep talking.
What makes this moment all the more incredible is that it was only 3 minutes, but it feels like 30. And I have no doubt in my mind that Cruz could have sat there and talked shit for 3 straight hours without needing another question from John Anik or any rebuttals from Dillashaw. And every single word would have been more condescending than the last.
He's not smart enough to realize it's a battle. That's why he doesn't talk.
That man is the Michelangelo of being a douchebag. It is truly remarkable. Number 4, John Jones to Daniel Cormier. Few fighters have a longer or uglier history than these two legends of the cage, and they have both had their fair share of devastating one-liners over the years. Like this ice-cold warning from JBJ on Fox Sports leading up to their first fight.
There is nothing you can do to stop me. You will lose this fight, Daniel Cormier. I want you to believe it.
Extra terrifying because, well, there was nothing that he could do to stop him in that first fight. But it's not as if DC hasn't had some solid lines of his own, like this gem at the presser for their second bout.
You're like a crackhead with a suit on.
I could look like a crackhead with a suit on, but I've never been a crackhead like you don't. So you can say I look like one, but I've never been one.
One of the greatest comebacks of all time. Except just like their rivalry in the cage, John got the best of him in this arena as well, and with all the exchanges that they've had, none compared to Jones hitting Cormier with this one.
I beat you after a weekend of cocaine.
And prostitutes. Hey.
I think the reason this one hurts the most is because you know it's true. You know that man was absolutely off his ass before that fight, and he still went out there against arguably his toughest ever opponent and completely dominated. What a brutal line. Number 3, George St. Pierre to Matt Hughes. The longevity of this line in the history of MMA fandom is a testament to how effective it was. How many quotes do you still regularly hear from the sport in 2006? If you ask anybody to do an impression of GSP, there's like an 85% chance they're just going to say,
"Not impressed by your performance."
It's his signature moment on the microphone. After losing to Matt Hughes for the vacant welterweight title, St. Pierre had finally fought his way back to the championship, and he would be facing the winner of Hughes and Penn, a fight he of course attended. After the bout, GSP got into the cage and let the winner Matt know how he felt about the victory.
"I'm not impressed by your performance."
"Not impressed by your performance."
What makes this moment all the better is that it couldn't have been a more polite way to just rip someone to pieces. For whatever reason, St. Pierre not being impressed felt like such a dagger of a sentence. And this was in 2006. People said all kinds of crazy shit back then.
Frank Mir had made a comment. He actually hopes that Brock Lesnar is the first fighter ever to die from injuries sustained in the cage.
This classic takedown was only strengthened by St. Pierre's eventual win against Hughes, but never has someone been so nice in their absolute destruction of another person. Number 2, BJ Penn to Sean Shirk. It was very hard for me to not put this at number 1 because it's my favorite call out ever, but I try to look at these lists as objectively as I can. I will say that never has so few words been so effective. Just 4 in fact, one of which was a contraction of "you are," so I suppose if we're being generous we'd say 5 words, but 2 of them were someone's name. Anyway, it was short and massively effective. Penn had just fought for the vacant lightweight title and won it after doing horrible things to Joe Stevenson. That belt was vacant because Sean Shirk got stripped for being juicier than a fried turkey on Thanksgiving. So, you know, fans were not cool with that, but they were cool with violence god BJ Penn, who had just seconds earlier satiated their bloodlust before making the call out everybody wanted to hear.
"Sean Shirk, you're dead! You want to know anything else? Go to bjpenn.com."
Perfection. No notes. It's perfect. And what makes this all the more awesome is that he did exactly what he said he was going to do in the context of cage fighting. Obviously, BJ was being hyperbolic, but oh my god, that knee and those punches, just pure decimation that made that call out all the more badass after the fact. BJ Penn defeated that man twice, and the first time all he needed was a microphone. Number 1, Michael Bisping to Luke Rockhold. If there was a shit-chatting Hall of Fame, Michael Bisping would be the inaugural entry.
You look like a fucking idiot!
The man might be better at talking than he was at fighting, which says a lot because, of course, the dude could throw down. To his opponents, Mike was a douchebag of the highest order. And just as I used that word with Dominic Cruz, I truly mean it as a compliment. The Count's assholery would find the perfect moment to strike in the very short lead up to his middleweight title challenge with Luke Rockhold. Luke isn't exactly known for his skills on the microphone, but he is a man that likes to say words, which created a perfect storm as he rambled on during a presser, resulting in the best one-liner the sport has ever seen.
If you believe in something, if you know something is going to happen, if you're confident in that situation, you will achieve things in life. I know that I'm better than this.
Sounds like the worst self-help book you've ever read. Conceive, believe, achieve. Shut the fuck up. Listen,
Dana's laugh really seals the deal. I don't think I've ever heard such a real laugh out of him. It was so funny and so devastating that it's still one of those defining things that follows Rockhold around, likely compounded by the devastating loss to Bisping in the actual fight. But if you looked up the definition of murder by words in the dictionary, they would just have a clip of that moment.
What an asshole, guys.
If you looked up amazing editor in the dictionary, there'd be a picture of Max Randall. He always does an incredible job of putting these videos together. Please follow him on all his socials and go check out his awesome YouTube channel. Another shout to our Hall of Famers. You guys are the best. I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for all that you do. Fight fans, you can be one too. Hit the join button. There's exclusive content. You can't beat the price. Highly recommend it. Like and subscribe to get Connor to take his sunglasses off. Comment down below your favorite devastating one-liners. And thank you so much for watching. I am out of here. But you know what? If you want to watch another one, go for it.